Folks, welcome back to Three's In. Bobo's back with you again. So, about this time in tweets, somewhere around late July, early August, we had people soloing out. We had people taking check rides. We had people going left, people going right, some people going in circles because they weren't sure which way they were going. And then we had academics. Okay, fine, you get the picture. Often, if we were on early week, if we reported to the flight line, say at 6 or 7 in the morning, we would go to 12, 12:30, maybe sometimes 1 o'clock, and there would be a little bit of overlap on the flight line between our flight and the other half of our class. And such was the case in this incident I'm going to share with you. So we were just at the end of second period of flying, and the other class was just at the beginning of their flying day. Okay, we had a student, I can't remember who it was, that was going out with Captain Bill Chris. Now, Captain Chris was our assistant flight commander, and he was a little bit of an excitable little fella. He tended to get kind of excited often. I don't know if he's what he's like in real life. At that time, I was a student, and we had different opinions of these guys, probably totally different. But at any rate, I knew he could get excitable. He was the guy, if you'll remember, early on when we reported to T-37s, we would have the open ranks inspection, and he was that little fellow that would come up and stand right next to me and look me up and down. And he was Holliker boots, and then I'd look down at my boots. I thought there was something wrong with them. What are you looking at? And then it would just go downhill from there. Okay, you got the idea. So Captain Christ and this guy go out to fly. Now, we flew off the west runway at Randolph. That was the T-37 runway. And this particular day, these guys get clearance for takeoff, and they taxied out and lined up on the left side of the runway. We would alternate lining up on whatever side of the runway. So they line up on the left side of the runway, which was our procedure in those days, and the kid's running the engines up, and he's probably going as we did, checking RPM, EGT, and so forth, going down the engine instruments. And about that time, Captain Chris noticed some flares coming out of the RSU. It's not the 4th of July, we already had that, okay? But these flares are going out, rockets, red glare, and you get the idea. And he's sitting there looking around, and then he hears, on short final, go around, so and so on guard. I can't remember what our tweet RSU call sign was. Anyway, about that time, Captain Chris looks off to the right, and here's this tweet coming by him, actually on the runway, coming by him on a touch and go solo. And as he's rolling by him, the T-37 pilot's sitting there looking at Captain Chris. Captain Chris is looking at him and is like, "Holy crap!" You're not supposed to be doing that. Well, as it turns out, it was Buzz Erickson in our class in the other section. So old Buzz just adds a power, just as if nothing, and continues rolling down the runway and takes off. It comes in a closed pattern, whenever it lands, and so forth. Captain Chris and his student go out for a ride. Well, when he came back, he was still on fire. I don't know how much instruction that kid got that day, but Captain Chris was on fire. He didn't come into our flight room. He walked into the other flight room. I think that was probably D flight. We were C. At any rate, he goes into D flight, and again, from an earlier discussion, we had these boner boards where they would take a Playboy Playmate picture, put it on a piece of cardboard, and put a piece of plexiglass over that, and then over the top of that, they had contact paper divided into squares. And anytime you screwed up, they'd run your name down the left side of it. And anytime you screwed up, you took off a square, which was a quarter. And you put the quarter in the kitty, and that went toward the beer. Well, Chris walks in that day. He found out who the student was, Erickson. And he took Erickson's, a whole row of the things came off. He lost them all that day. I think the most you could pay was $10, and Chris wanted that $10 right now, that day. At any rate, just some of the things that happened to us. God, I love the innocence of those days. At any rate, that story still cracks me up. This is Bobo Base Gear. Stop. Good to see everyone.